A special CNN report now. People in Puerto Rico so desperate for water, they're drinking it from a hazardous waste site at this point. One man saying that he's ignoring the warnings to stay away from so-called Superfund sites, saying this: "If I don't drink water, I'm going to die." Now a top Democrat on the House Homeland Security Committee is calling on DHS to investigate this water crisis. CNN's Ed Lavendera is in San Juan with the details. Ed, this has been some very important reporting that you and your team have been doing. What are you learning?
Well, right, this is an area in a town called Dorado, which is west of the capital here in San Juan, where we're at. And it's a relatively small area, but it is an area that's designated as a Superfund site. And for those of you not familiar with what that means, it's Superfund sites are designated by the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's basically a list of some of the most contaminated pieces of land in the country. This happens, all over the place. But in this particular case, there are a number of water wells on that land, and there had been reports, and we've seen it ourselves over the course of the last few weeks, that people have been tapping into these water wells desperate for water. Several of those residents we've spoken to say they have used it in recent days as a source of drinking water. Over the weekend, a team from the Environmental Protection Agency was out there taking water samples. They're in the process of testing the water for industrial toxins, which is believed to be in the ground. The question is whether or not those industrial toxins have seeped into the water supply that's underground there. That testing is being done. It will be back at some point this week, so we'll continue to monitor that. But I had a chance to speak with one of the EPA officials that was out there at the site doing that testing, and this is what we talked about. How concerned are you about what might happen to them?
We're concerned because it's not absolutely clean, pure water. There are some contaminants. We're not saying that somebody is at immediate danger by drinking this water. We are considering it a long-term risk.
So officials here are saying that long-term risk, prolonged exposure to drinking that water would likely cause any kind of serious health effects. Obviously, that increases the urgency of getting access to clean water for a lot of these people. The problem has been is that a lot of people didn't know that the area that they lived in and where these water wells were located sat on top of this Superfund site. Many of them that we spoke with had never heard that news to begin with. So, and then couple that with the problem is that in areas where there is access to water, there's a nearby well, lines take hours and hours for people to get through to get access to that water. So it's just a difficult situation here as the water supply continues to come back online.
Yeah, and all the while, they need water every day, despite the fact that testing is going on, is in the process of happening. Ed, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. With me now, Democratic Congresswoman Nydia Velazquez of New York. She was the first Puerto Rican woman elected to the House of Representatives. Nydia, Congresswoman, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So you just heard Ed Lavendera's report. I know you were aware of it beforehand. What have you heard? What have you heard about this water and these Superfund sites and what it means for folks there?
This is one Superfund site that we are aware of, but there are 14 Superfund sites in Puerto Rico. So the extent of the damage, this could become another Flint, where so many children, old people, regular people in Puerto Rico could get affected. We're talking about contaminants, toxins, material, oil that are in this water. This is not. A year ago, it was a Superfund site. A year later, you're telling me that this water can be used as drinking water? I don't think so, and I'm really very concerned. For this to happen in America, it's just heartbreaking.
I do want to ask you, you became very emotional this week following one of the president's tweets towards a message that he sent to Puerto Rico. And part of the message was that we can't keep FEMA, the military and first responders, we can't keep them in Puerto Rico for forever, is what he sent out. And that upset you. For our viewers, I want to play what you said. You sent a message to the president through one of his cabinet secretaries that same morning, Ben Carson, when he was in your committee. Listen to this.
We shed blood to defend the freedoms that every American in this country enjoys. So to kick fellow citizens when they are down is shameful.
Why did that message from the president upset you so much?
It was outrageous. It was an insult. It shows the inability of this president to understand that the solemn duty of a president is to protect the citizens of our country, and that Puerto Ricans are fellow citizens. They are not colonial subjects. They need the assistance and the relief that we provide to any American citizen whenever there is a natural disaster.
The next day, the president sent out another message with a very different tone, saying that the wonderful people of Puerto Rico, with their unmatched spirit, know how bad things were before the hurricanes. I will always be with them. Does that make it better?
No. We need actions. As you saw, people in Puerto Rico are drinking water from a Superfund site. What we need is to correct the fact that we were not prepared, that the federal government did not have a meaningful advanced response, knowing that a Category 5 was on its track to hit Puerto Rico, knowing that the infrastructure of Puerto Rico before the hurricane was vulnerable. So we needed to be there, the full force of the federal government, to mobilize the federal assets that were needed.
Going forward, the governor of Puerto Rico now says that he thinks that he believes that they're going to have 95% of the power grid back online by December 15th, I believe is what he said. Do you believe that?
I don't know how he came to the conclusion, but I pray that we get this 95% back because the economy is on. If we don't have the power grid,
do you think it's too ambitious to think it'll happen by mid-December?
Without the federal response and without the federal resources, definitely. Puerto Rico do not have the type of resources that will enable them to put the power grid back on track.
A lot on the plate of Congress right now, but Sarah Murray, one of our White House correspondents, had some really important reporting this morning about how Republicans are sounding the alarm that if they lose the majority, if Democrats win back the majority in the House in 2018, then that would mean the president would be impeached, that they would move to impeach the president. Would you be for that?
If we have the evidence that show that there was collusion between the Russian and the Donald Trump campaign, that if they committed fraud, if the FBI was lied to, if the evidence is there, we should act on it.
So we haven't seen that evidence yet.
Correct.
So right now you're a no, but you're leaving open the possibility?
Well, if the evidence shows that the facts should call for an impeachment, I'll be the first one to support it.
It seems personal to you as well now. This has gone from political to personal for you. Do you want to see the president impeached?
I want the president to do right by the American people.
Does he still have a chance to do that?
He is the president of the United States. Apparently, he doesn't understand the responsibility of being president of the United States.
Does he still have a chance to fix it? You think he's done wrong? Do you think he still has a chance to get it right?
Well, he needs to do it. He needs, at least in the case of Puerto Rico, people are dying. Children are dying. So this is a matter of life and death for American citizens. And by just tweeting out and telling the people of Puerto Rico, when you are down, that we're going to pull out of Puerto Rico the resources that they deserve, it just immorally, that is not the values that have made this country great.
Congresswoman, thank you for coming in.
Appreciate
it. Coming up for us, all eyes are back on the White House today, where the president will be